I'm a middle school math teacher, and today we are setting sail on the Exponent Seas. What do an exponent and a pirate have in common? Let's find out. I want you to think of the pirate as the base, and the exponent is that little parrot sitting up on his shoulder. This exponent of 3 is telling us how many of the base we have. So when your exponent is 3, it's that little parrot saying 3 of the base, 3 of the base. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power is 8. Remember, that little exponent, that little parrot, telling you how many of the base unit you have. This is going to be key for the rest of our week. You've heard of Talk Like a Pirate Day, but have you heard of Talk Like an Exponent Day? Probably not, it doesn't exist. But I'm a middle school math teacher, and we're going to pretend it exists, and we're going to practice saying some exponents. Let's go. 5 to the power of 4, or 5 raised to the 4th power, or 5 raised to the power of 4, it's all the same thing. My exponent is 4, my base is 5. Remember, your exponent, that little number sitting up on the shoulder, like the little parrot sitting up on the shoulder of the pirate, tells you how many of the base you have. What if we have 5 to the 2nd power, or 5 raised to the power of 2? You may have heard this referred to as 5 squared. But why? Why do we say squared? Think of a square. Squares are two-dimensional, and when we find the area of our square, we multiply side times side. Side squared. Quick way to remember it is just to think squares are two-dimensional. 5 squared, power of 2, two-dimensional. We have one more exponent that gets a cute little name. 5 to the power of 3, or 5 raised to the 3rd power, can also be referred to as 5 cubed. That 3 means cubed. Let's think for a second. If the square was two-dimensional, and we said squared for the power of 2, cubes are three-dimensional. So when we think of our to the power of 3, you can think of a cube, because that would be three-dimensional. Not to mention that your volume is side times side times side, which would give you that base times base times base. So 5 to the 3rd power, 5 cubed. 5 to the 2nd power, 5 squared. 5 to the 4th power is just 5 to the 4th power. Negatives ahoy on the Exponent Seas. If that didn't make you cringe, negatives probably won't. So what's the difference between -3 squared and the quantity of -3 squared? Is there one? It's all about the parentheses. The parentheses lock that negative in, so it's the quantity of -3 squared. So when you have squared, you have 2 little -3s. -3 times -3, 9. This has no parentheses. There's nothing holding this negative to the 3 squared. So 3 squared is just your normal 3 squared, which gives you 9. And this negative just hops on at the end. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1? Yeah, this blows kids' minds. Let's talk about why. I have kids clap this one out with me. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. Do you need to know any more than that? Probably not. Would you like to see why it works? Maybe. Let's toss in some little numbers to help us with this example. I'm going to do 3 squared divided by 3 squared. Now, we know that when we are dividing powers with the same base, we keep the base of 3 and we subtract our exponents. 2 minus 2 is 0. We also know that when the numerator and the denominator, think fractions, are the same, that's actually equal to 1. So if 3 squared over 3 squared is equal to 1, and my exponent property tells me 3 squared divided by 3 squared equals 3 to the 0 power, that means 3 to the 0 power is also 1. So the next time you see anything raised to the 0 power equals 1, you'll actually know why. A negative and an exponent? Boy, your world's about to get flipped upside down. 2 raised to the power of -4. We have a negative parrot. He is feeling very unhappy. And when we have an unhappy parrot, he flips the ship. We get 1 over 2 to the 4th power. This negative exponent means we flip or get the reciprocal of our exponent, and you drop that negative. He feels better once he's I guess maybe taking a nap below decks. I don't know. If you're wondering where this 1 came from, you can think about anything as a fraction if you pop it over 1. So that's where that mystery 1 came from. 3 squared times 3 to the 4th, that's a lot of parrots. In fact, you might say they were adding up. When you are multiplying powers with the same base, the rule is you keep the base and add the exponents. So 3 squared times 3 to the 4th, we keep that base of 3 and we add the exponents. 2 plus 4 gives us 3 to the 6th. The rule is all you need. But if you're the type of person who wants to know why, 3 squared, that parrot 2 says 2 to the base. 3 to the 4th, the parrot 4 says 4 to the base, gives us 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 threes. Parrot says 6. Dividing exponents? Okay, it looks a little scary. I mean, it looks like a fraction, but what we're really doing is subtracting parrots. When we are dividing powers with the same base, we keep the base and we subtract the exponents. So I'm going to keep my base of 2, and I'm going to do 6 minus 2. So I'm going to have 2 to the power of 6 minus 2, which gives us 2 to the 4th. We love a good rule. And could you stop here and be totally happy? Of course. But if you want to know why 2 to the 6th divided by 2 to the 2nd equals 2 to the 4th, I have some stars for you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little stars up top for my 2 to the 6th. Parrot says 6. And then I have 2 stars on the bottom for 2 squared. Parrot says 2. And these guys are going to cancel out. Boop, boop, which leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4. Parrot says 4. What happens when you raise a power to a power? Is that a thing? Can we do that? Can we do that? Let's talk about why this is so confusing. We have the quantity of 2 to the 3rd power raised to the 2nd power. That's a lot going on there. Remember, your exponent is your parrot telling you how many of the base you have. And we know that parentheses lock the base in. So this whole thing is getting raised to the 2nd power, which means I have 2 of the whole thing. So I have 2 to the 3rd times 2 to the 3rd. Take it a step further. We know that 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 times 2, and 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 times 2. So I actually end up with 2 to the 6th power. Are you going to write all this out? No, you're going to take the shortcut. 2 to the 3 times 2 is 6. When you are raising a power to a power, you multiply the exponent.